The sun was beginning its descent, casting long, dancing shadows across the emerald expanse of Tom's fields. A gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of hay and earth, a familiar lullaby to the young farmer. As he traversed the familiar terrain, a peculiar sound, a rhythmic tapping akin to a tiny blacksmith at work, caught his attention. Intrigue replaced the tranquility. With cautious steps, Tom edged closer to the source of the noise, a dense thicket of hawthorn. The afternoon sun filtered through the thorny canopy, casting dappled shadows on the undergrowth. His heart pounded in his chest as he parted the thorny veil. His eyes widened in disbelief. There, in a miniature world of green, sat a creature of myth and legend, a leprechaun. The diminutive being was lost in its task, hammering away at a tiny shoe with an intensity that belied its size. Its face was a mask of concentration, the pointed ears twitching with each strike of the hammer. The leprechaun's workshop was a marvel of miniature craftsmanship. An anvil no larger than a hazelnut stood on a toadstool, and tiny tools, impossible to the human eye, were scattered about with an almost magical precision. Tom's breath caught in his throat. The tales of these elusive creatures and their guarded treasures had been whispered to him since childhood, but to see one, so close and real, was almost too much to bear. The leprechaun, with its fiery red hair and mischievous green eyes, seemed to embody the very essence of Irish folklore. He moved slowly, as if in a dream, his every muscle tensed. The leprechaun, oblivious to the giant looming over him, continued its work, occasionally taking a sip from a tiny pewter mug filled with a shimmering liquid that must have been the legendary heather beer. The farmer's mind raced. This was his chance, a stroke of incredible fortune, but to seize it, he would have to be as cunning as the creature itself. "Good evening," Tom managed to croak, his voice as rough as the bark of an old oak. The leprechaun looked up, its tiny eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and defiance. It was a creature of exquisite detail, its clothing a patchwork of green and gold, adorned with tiny buttons that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "And a good evening to you, young man," it replied, its voice surprisingly deep for such a small creature. There was a hint of arrogance in its tone, as if it considered itself the lord of this miniature kingdom. A conversation began, a delicate dance of words where Tom tried to mask his desire for the leprechaun's treasure with idle curiosity. The creature, with a sly glint in its eye, seemed to enjoy the game. It spoke of its craft, of the magic in every stitch, of the ancient art of brewing heather beer. Its voice was filled with a lyrical quality, as if it were reciting poetry. Tom, feigning disbelief, asked for a taste. The leprechaun's refusal was swift and sharp. "Human," it said with a contemptuous sneer, "you have no appreciation for fine drink." But then, as if by chance, Tom's cows broke free, their lowing echoing through the fields. The leprechaun, with a curse that sounded like the chirp of a particularly angry sparrow, leapt to its feet. In that instant, Tom pounced. His large hands closed around the tiny figure, a gasp escaping the leprechaun's lips. The creature squirmed and wriggled, its laughter turning to terror. Tom could feel the rapid beating of its tiny heart against his palm. "Show me the treasure," Tom demanded, his voice low and menacing. The leprechaun, its bravado replaced by fear, reluctantly agreed. They journeyed through the fields, the leprechaun leading the way, its tiny feet tapping impatiently against the earth. Each step was a miniature drama of defiance and resignation. Finally, they stopped at a desolate patch of land, covered in prickly thistles. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the field, creating an eerie atmosphere. The leprechaun's face was etched with a mixture of fear and determination. "The gold is there," it said, pointing to a particular thistle. "But beware, the magic of this place is strong. Only one thistle marks the spot. Remove it, and the treasure is yours." Tom's heart pounded with anticipation. He tied his red scarf around the thistle, a marker for his prize. Then, with a heavy heart, he released the leprechaun. The creature vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind a swirl of shimmering green light. With renewed vigor, Tom returned, shovel in hand. But as he reached the field, his blood ran cold. Every thistle was adorned with a red scarf. The leprechaun had played him for a fool. Laughter, bitter and cold, escaped his lips. The creature of myth had proven to be far more cunning than the simple farmer. Defeated, Tom turned and walked away, the setting sun casting an eerie glow on the field of tricks. As he looked back, he saw a single, tiny figure sitting on a thistle, its laughter carried on the wind, a mocking melody that echoed through the twilight.